Doing it yourself will cost you more. Here's why. I'm Chuck at TechArts, and today we get insight on when to DIY or hire an experienced team. We will discuss the tech upgrades that Robert Mayer has leveraged as the Director of Worship at South Shores Church. Robert, you built something really special over at South Shores Church. Tell us your story. How'd you get started over there, and what's your journey been like as a tech director or no director of worship? Sorry.
Yeah.
Director of worship.
Director of worship. Grew up, out of Berklee College of Music, and I got into the technical part of it there with MIDI and recording, and ended up working for Maranatha Music and production and putting discs together and things like that. And then later worked for a company called Microsound, and that's just digital. It's all MIDI on discs, literally for the middle, mid America, where they can pop something in and have music on their keyboards and to kind of facilitate what worship is for them there, to kind of help them with their. And I did that and put a couple of albums together, books like traditional hymns and the celebrational hymnal, which has got 800 hymns. And I had definitive melody writers and things like that. I had to control that and basically put that together for Maranatha Music. And it was fun. It was a big project. Worked on the Green Book and a few other things there. But out of that, I was leading worship at Saddleback for a college ministry and things like that. And South Shores Church called me over to be part of their team if I wanted to. So I went and checked them out. It was interesting. It was a lot of interesting things there, and and over the years we've kind of changed a little bit of the direction of the way that church works, and it started firing, and we got some interest. People started coming, and it was really a blessing. I mean, it really was, and that's how I landed at South Shores. I was out of Saddleback, and then into South Shores, and they said, hey, we want to be the music director or the technical and music, because in church you kind of have to be both, and it's a good thing, but it's also a very dangerous thing, because you can get in over your head, or you can do things that don't help the church very much, specifically sound wise and lighting wise too. So we made a lot of changes when we moved in there, and I got a technical director friend of mine to come work with me. He was from Monster Energy Drink, and his name's Jack Spear, and we started working together to make this church, or bring the church forward, because really they just had white lights and an organ, and they wanted contemporary, so we were there to facilitate that.
Wow. Over these years, since we started working together, you've taken on several impressive DIY jobs. I mean, You've done the DIY thing really well. What inspired that do-it-yourself mindset in your ministry with South Shores, anyway?
Well, money, really. We built a studio in South Shores. When we were doing the architectural drawings, they wanted $150,000 to lower the floor, 2 inches. So we took on that particular project, and it was because, that $150,000, which we did under budget. We did do it under 150.
Nice.
And we were able to get the studio, and I can show you guys pictures, and it turned out pretty good. But there were some interesting hiccups along the way,
Yeah. Like with every project. At what point did you first come across TechArts? I'm trying to remember how we met and what drew you to work with us, especially for your sound system.
For churches, I think it really is important to remain focused on what your message is. When it comes to sound, and we had done enough projects on our own to realize, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to have people who know what they're doing. so I started looking at a bunch of different vendors, a bunch of different speaker providers, all the top, and when we came to TechArts, it was really easy. You guys provided quite a bit of service to us. You guys, had a digital layout of what we were thinking. You guys were, took all the calls, answered questions. It wasn't like the other vendors that we had. They would just be like, I would talk to them for 10 minutes and then I'd never hear from them again. It was like literally like a 2 a.m. call from somewhere. It's just terrible, terrible, terrible service. And I was like, these guys are really good. And then me and Jack were like, we need to have these guys to do it. Now, it wasn't cheap, but it was the right thing to do because, our church, through the finance and all that stuff was, like, well, why is it so expensive? Why is this that? And the crushing factor is like, look, you guys are spending the same amount on AstroTurf in the front as the speaker system that we're putting in. So the churches really need to focus on this. And I think that they miss it, that intelligibility is everything in a message. If you're talking about God and you're talking about things that are life-changing, you want them to be clear, crystal clear. And people with hearing aids, or the rooms have different ambient things, like all these different things are happening which hinder intelligibility. The other thing is the usability. You are using that room all the time. I mean, we use our main sanctuary like 4 or 5 days a week.
Nice.
We're not playing out on the AstroTurf 4 or 5 days a week. We are actually in there, and those messages are clear. And you guys have done a number of rooms for us, so we're very thankful that we did go down that road, and we are very thankful that the wisdom that you guys gave us allowed us to have a venue.
But I remember connecting with you, and you had a lot of designs in the room. A lot of them were mono or all these strange things. And I'm thinking, this is a music venue, really, and it's nice and wide. And if we could find a way to do stereo in the room, because it is wide, then it would be a different experience altogether. And there's no speakers in the middle of the room, and so.
Well, that was one of the things that TechArts tackled. Nobody else tackled that. Nobody else wanted to tackle that. And I had Mayor Sound that they were like, well, we want to put 150 speakers everywhere, and we'll have these zones. And I was like, what volunteer can mix that? Honestly, there isn't. So we were thrilled that we were able to get a huge stereo image in there because nobody said we could. We were like, we kind of entertained it, and you're like, why don't we do stereo? I was like, what? Let's do it. Like, please, let's do it. And it sounds great in there. It's a fantastic venue. TechArts was the only one that tackled it, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't like, we even had some sight lines that we had to kind of cut some speakers a little bit, and you guys were like, okay, this is not what we recommend, but I think we can do it if we tilt it this way. And we were able to get a really good compromise in that sanctuary, and it sounds amazing. So
yeah. Another thing that's just part of our philosophy at TechArts is from the beginning, because I'm a music guy also, and we have a lot of composers that work here and stuff, but we're all mixing sound, but we have 2 ears.
Yeah.
If you're going to do music, mono's a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
And we don't say that word around here too often. We've done mono in speech-only applications, but as soon as there's music,
everywhere in the room is fantastic. And even the back row is like one of my favorite places to sit because you still get a great stereo image, and the subs timeline perfectly. It's fantastic. It's a great little venue. But I have to go back to when you guys raised the speaker and you guys went the extra mile.
Yeah.
With us, that actually, there was no excuse at the end of it because everything was perfect. I mean, it was just perfect. Like, you could see every screen, you could see no matter where you were at, you could hear everything. It was like, you guys did the extra mile. You guys like went where other people probably would have said, okay, we're done. You guys did it, and on Thanksgiving, which is like, I think we were trying to open. We had these pressure lines, or we had a pressure to get it done, and yeah, it really did, and we've remained with TechArts for years now because we know you guys are like, you actually care.
Actually, you and your team did take on a lot for the LED lights for your church sanctuary when you installed those
Yeah.
yourself. Uh, that was a major project. And what were the biggest pros and cons of handling that in-house? And how did TechArts support you in that? Because it was kind of DIY, but we helped you. So the hybrid thing.
Not our finest moment. We had no clue what we were doing. Like when it came to that, like you guys pretty much saved our rear ends on that. Like we had subpar lighting fixtures, and we thought we knew what we were doing. We and then you guys introduced us to some new software and new console and things like that, and it's way more reliable. Like we've had lots of things blow up, lots of things stop working, and you suggested certain vendors, and we were like, oh, really? We thought we thought we were completely upside down. What we knew was good vendor and not, because we were do it yourself. The lighting, we've got it down pretty good now, but TechArts helped us by telling us what we should do, and then from that we were like, they're right. Maybe they should come do it for us. Some of these things, and what would you suggest that we get? And then, we took a lot of. You guys did a lot of pro bono work for us during that time. You helped us quite a bit without us having to pay, and that was a huge blessing. We're like, you know what, like, I think these guys should just do it because, they've already earned it. It's very important to listen to your integrator, and because they do it all the time, and just take it seriously. Even though sometimes we've ignored you, we usually suffer for that. Very seldomly we not suffer.
And even looking back, I can remember there's a lot of money you saved on the lighting part because you did hang a bunch of fixtures yourself.
Yeah,
and that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then when we came in the end, we kind of just helped you get the network together and address. But I'm glad we were able to recommend good church LED lights. Let's talk about that new studio that you just did. It's a project that was mostly DIY.
Yeah.
But had some key collaboration with TechArts. And how did the partnership influence the outcome, you think? And how are you using the space now? Do you use it to stream church?
It has become invaluable. I think every church should have a space where you can go record somebody without hearing a siren of a police car or a jet or a clock ticking or something like that messes your edits. And I think that room provides that space. And I think that TechArts had a big hand in helping us pick things that would work for broadcast, for flicker-free, lighting, and also the right kind of fixtures. The smaller ones for that room is a lower ceiling. We didn't want big giant fixtures. It's kind of a tight space. It's 24 feet by 18, so the ceiling isn't that high because we built in drywall, like, I don't know, 10 sheets of drywall, and then spaces in between to cut the sound down considerably throughout the building, so we could have full band rehearsals in there during the day when pastors working on a sermon next door. So we were able to do that,
Wow.
and it's great. It's a great little spot. But TechArts was really helpful in some of the design. We created a bass trap. I talked to Jason about it. So, hey, what do we probably put a trap in the corner somewhere, and a couple of other things. And so we followed.
Because we really do pride ourselves in trying to make the most out of the room itself, because it's a big investment. So that helps. I also thought about the DIY path can be rewarding, but it also comes with long nights and a lot of personal investment. How did you balance out your high demand projects with your family life and ministry life? Because I know that
Yeah. Well,
is tough.
if you take on a DIY project, you're going to suffer. I mean, if you want to do it right, and if you are paying attention to the detail, and our campus, we we over engineer, overdo everything. So it does. Your family life can suffer. When we were building one of our buildings, me and Jack were highly involved. I mean, we were in everything, and they were 15-hour days, and it was really taking a toll on my marriage and all these other things. And then you get to the point where we just need to have integrators in here do this because we're gonna go nuts, And having a team of people where, like you said, you guys have meetings and you sit in here and go, how are we gonna do this? And you got a lot of heads. That's far superior to two guys trying to DIY. It's just a better, and it's more methodical and it's more thought out. Now, you really got to know what you're doing if you do it. That's why I think it's better to go to TechArts and go, get a bid, find out what it's going to be, and then really think about how much time you're going to spend doing it. If you got a crew to do it, can they manage it? Can your team manage it? And it can in this turn into a fiasco where your church is not usable, for 2 or 3 weeks. Is that worth it? What is so you have to be ready to if it's a DIY, you got to be ready to pay the consequences if things go south, and they usually do.
That's why I've wanted to bring this up with you, is because I knew you had lots of pros and cons, and times where it really worked well, and maybe times where it wasn't as well. So we have, plenty to talk about because we have a lot of history with you and a lot of different projects. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for making this time
Yeah, no
happen.
problem.
I appreciate it.
Hopefully we can string a few sentences together.
If this was helpful, check out our other TechArts videos, subscribe for more, and visit our website to see our latest projects and integrations.